It's the sure sign of a good time. The just right taste of Bud Light. Here we go.
This is the Coach's Scouting Report, featuring Coach Rick Venturi on 101sports.com.
Welcome into the Scouting Report on 101 ESPN. Rams got the Seahawks this week at the Edward Jones Dome along with Rick Venturi. I'm Zach McCrite, and Coach, we always get started with the special teams, and one guy we got to make sure we hold accountable this week is Leon Washington.
No doubt about it, Zach. This is 3 weeks in a row where special teams haven't just been important, they've been paramount. You've been looking at some great returners, and there's no rest for the wicked here. This Leon Washington is one of the most explosive guys, both on kick returns and on punt returns. He's a guy you have to bottle up. One of the most explosive, if not the most explosive player on this team. Seattle also is a very good coverage team, so this is a big challenge for special teams. The defense starts with special teams.
Now, moving on the defensive side, really, the running game is what really needs to be stopped here. Marshawn Lynch is the guy, right?
I think that's right. I think the number one thing you've got to do is stop the run and the deep ball on early downs, and then you make Travaris Jackson beat you, okay? So basically what you got to know is that the Seahawks love Marshawn Lynch, okay? Number one, he can take it to the house. He's a physical north-south runner. They love to run him on zone plays, wrap plays, inside the tackle stuff, but he's a monster downfield. If you don't believe me, look at the Saints-Seahawks playoff game, and he destroyed those guys. So when he's in the game, you really got to be alert for the north-south run, basically defending him from inside out. Now, when they slip in Washington or Forsett, now be alert for the finesse runs, screen passes, counters, traps, a little bit of different kind of running game. But early in the game, you must stop the running game.
Now, about the passing game, one good piece of news on the Rams side is that there's a lot of injuries on the offensive front for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, let's start with the receivers first. Okay, let's start with the receivers first. The first thing is this is a varied group. You know, you've got Rice, you've got Baldwin. You've got several different kind of guys now, Golden Tate, different guys that can attack you different ways. It's a pretty solid group. It's not an elite group, but pretty solid. Okay, the one receiver consideration that I'm going to be alert for, and he got hurt last week with the concussion, but if Sidney Rice lines up inside, if he's at number 2 or number 3, counting from outside in, he's in there for a reason, and it's usually to generate some type of big play. So I may have nuances in my coverage based on his alignment inside, not outside.
They try to mismatch him.
Yeah, they try to mismatch him. So from that standpoint, I'm going to be very concerned. You know, I'm going to be not overly concerned, but concerned. Now, when you go to the protection part of it, and even the run offense now, they've had a really huge blow. In 4 days, you know, they've lost their right guard Moffitt and their right tackle Carpenter. Their 2 top draft picks who were really starting to play for them on the right side of their offensive line. So they're going to be missing pieces there. As far as the running game, if they're going to run it, be alert for a lot of runs to Okung and Gallery on the left side. I think Chris Long, from a pure pass rush standpoint, should have a Hall of Fame day this week. If you can stop the run, get Travaris Jackson into a big passing game, Chris should have a big job off the edge. Now, with Jackson is a guy who's up and down. He's talented. He can throw well. He can move. But he has had different kinds of issues. He's had a lot of trouble with pressure. So I'm going to bring pressure against Jackson. I'm going to blitz. I'm going to trust my young corners can hold up, and I'm going to get after him. Because I think if you get after him, he will give the ball up. And this is a game where, I think you got to have turnovers. And the final thing, number 4, the final thing you must do is get a defensive score this week.
That would be nice. I think only 1 on the year so far for the Rams. Now, moving on to the offensive side of the ball, Coach. Really, I don't mean to sound so simple, but it'd be nice to just get Steven Jackson the ball again.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with simplicity. You have to know who you are. It gets redundant, but the Rams will never win if Jackson isn't a relevant part of the game. 3 games in a row, over 125. I think he's running as well as he's ever run. Keep feeding the beast from that standpoint. Now, understand what the Seahawks do on defense. Basically, they're what we call a 4-3 over-under. That is a shift over and under. Red Bryant's their best run defender. He's their right defensive end, making Chris Clements their left defensive end. Now, Clements is very active, has a lot of sacks. He likes open spaces. You want to get in formation, 2 tight end formations, or use your fullback where you start at Bryant with the tight end, shift and cover up Clements. You want to run it at him, but you want to run it at Clements, not away from him. You want to pound him. You want to create an overshift and run away from it from that standpoint. Also, I would get in some nickel sets, 3 wide receiver sets, get them in nickel. They get very fast in nickel, but they get very light in nickel.
Now, speaking of the pass, the secondary, they can struggle a little bit. Bradford can have a good day against this secondary.
Well, they've got 2 young corners in Sherman and Browner. Both guys are better than what they've been playing with. They're very solid. I think both of them struggle at the line of scrimmage. Their bump and run techniques are lax. They don't do a good job with their hands. I think Lloyd can get on top of them. I look for coverage to Lloyd, so McDaniels has got to be creative in opening guys away from him. He doesn't have talent to open themselves up, so you got to get into some formations where you can open guys up. Now, when you throw the ball, I would also like to isolate the strong safety Chancellor with a wideout. If you can motion in, get him isolated, he's a much better run defender than pass defender. Biggest concern on throwing the ball, free safety Earl Thomas. Best young ball hawk in the National Football League, terrific player, great eyes, great speed. When you're throwing between the numbers, don't get careless and always look him off. Always give him a look one way where you're going to throw this way. Never let him anticipate and getting that extra stretch speed on you.
Now, the defensive front for Seattle, while good, while adequate, they can get better if the Seahawks have the lead. It's really important for the Rams to get an early lead.
I think this is, and it's kind of a cliche, but this is a team that can rush the passer, and so it's really important that the Rams stay ahead in the count. That's why the run, the play action passes, I think there's a void in their coverage that you can hit. But when they get to nickel, when they get to third down, they have a nice package. Plus, now all of a sudden, Raheem comes in the game. Raheem Mathis, he comes the game, and now he plays on your left side, and now they move Clements over to the right side. So there's 2 really good edge guys, me baying inside. Pete Carroll has a really good blitz system, always have all the way back through his college days, back to when he was assistant. They can get after you. So basically, you've got to have a good plan there. And I think you do about 3 or 4 things, actually. Number 1, continue to screen to Jackson. Continue to slow that rush down with screen passes to Jackson, let him go. Number 2, continue to throw quick. Don't mess around. If you got to catch and run for it, catch and run for it. Number 3, predetermined scrambles. We call them dashes. Get Bradford out of the pocket. Not bootleg like first down. Set him up, predetermined scramble, throw the ball downfield from that standpoint. And then number 4, the most important thing on protection is protect the inside firmly. You're going to get outside rushes with Mathis and Clements, so the inside must be better than they were a week ago because you've got to allow Sam to step up into the pocket. There's got to be room there to throw the ball.
If we don't hear Robert Mathis's name a whole lot, I think we'll be in good shape. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. And, in the end here, Zach, I do believe that this is the most enigmatic team in football, the Seahawks. Play great inside in Questfield, not so good on the road. They do have plenty of guys that can beat you, but I think they tend to sleep on the road for some reason. So I think if the Rams get after them quick, take care of business, I think you can force another bad road trip with the Seahawks.
You can catch all this on text form, 101sports.com. Coach has got the game plan up there. And then you can also hear him on the pregame show on 101 ESPN in St. Louis and all across the Rams radio network. Then me and him will be back on Monday morning on 101 ESPN to talk about it from 9 to 11 Central Time. For the coach, Rick Venturi, I'm Zach McCrite. Thanks for watching the Scouting Report on 101sports.com.